Trump administration overrode Social Security staff to list immigrants as dead. While earlier warnings about the agency's deaths database were ignored, a senior executive who objected was marched out of his office and placed on leave. Security guards arrived at the office of a highly regarded senior executive in the Social Security Administration's Woodlawn, Maryland, headquarters 2 days after the agency purposely and falsely identified 6,100 living immigrants as dead. The Trump administration's plan to move the migrants' names into a Social Security database had been rebuffed by Greg Pear, who was in charge of a staff of hundreds of technology experts. This would have prevented the migrants from legally earning wages and, officials hoped, encouraged them to leave the country. Particularly, Pear had disagreed with Scott Coulter, Elon Musk's new chief information officer. 3 people with knowledge of the events claim that Pear told Coulter that the plan was cruel, illegal, and could have been used to kill the wrong people. But his objections did not go over well with Trump political appointees. And so on Thursday, the security guards in Pear's office told him it was time to leave. A pivotal internal conflict over the novel strategy, promoted by Musk's United States, came to an end when they escorted Pear outside the building. DOJ Service and the Department of Homeland Security have collaborated to update the agency's death master file, with the addition of thousands of immigrants ranging in age from teenagers to elderly people. Employers, landlords, banks, and government agencies use the dataset to check on employees, clients, and others' status. The episode also followed earlier warnings from senior Social Security officials that the database was insecure and could be easily edited without proof of death. A vulnerability, staffers say, that the Trump administration has now exploited. This warning and Pear's dismissal have not been previously reported. This article is about how the Trump administration lobbied Social Security to falsely declare thousands of living immigrants dead. 15 people, including current and former Social Security employees, spoke on condition of anonymity for fear of retaliation. Experts in government, consumer rights and immigration law said the administration's action is illegal. Labeling people dead strips them of the privacy protections granted to living individuals, and knowingly classifying living people as dead counts as falsifying government records, they said. This is on top of the harm done to people who are suddenly declared dead, who are unable to legally earn a living wage, or get benefits for which they might be eligible. It has been acknowledged by Social Security that a false death certificate is a devastating blow. This is an unprecedented step, said Devin O'Connor, a senior fellow on the federal fiscal policy team for the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, a progressive think tank. It appears that the administration is asserting that they have the authority to essentially label individuals who have not yet passed away as dead. It's hard to believe that, but it comes with a lot of risks and consequences. According to Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, the Trump administration is protecting lawful American citizens and their hard-earned Social Security benefits, and ensuring illegal immigrants will no longer receive such economic entitlements by adding the names of immigrants to the database of deaths. Anyone who disagrees with the common sense policies of this administration can find a new job. Officials at Social Security, which has gutted its press office after months of turmoil over declining services, did not respond to requests for comment. Anybody granted the appropriate permissions within Social Security could mark someone as dead, employees had realized, without having to prove their demise in any way. For example, by referencing medical records or a death certificate. Employees warned that the dataset was susceptible to manipulation based on the person and the records. In meetings and emails that went up the management chain, employees' fear was partly that a bad actor who gained access to government credentials could label groups of living individuals as dead to target them for punishment. According to the person and the records. According to the person, some of the people who raised the alarm were particularly concerned that the Trump administration might attempt to use the database to target individuals the president despises. Management indicated they were looking into the matter and exploring a proposed solution that would have required some additional proof of death before placing them into the death master file, according to the person and the records. but no solution was enacted. According to consumer law attorney Jim Francis, entry into the death master file has the potential to have severe consequences, effectively erasing a person's ability to live in the United States and earn a living. Francis, who recently sued Social Security for mistakenly labeling a Maryland woman dead, noted that the agency sells its death information to creditors, pension companies, life insurers and credit reporting firms. It's the source of that data that the whole world uses. Which is why, if it's inaccurate, it has such devastating impacts on people, Francis said. You literally become financially paralyzed overnight. Tom Kind, a 90-year-old retiree who lives in Denver, recently experienced the nightmare himself when he was wrongly added to the deaths database without his knowledge. He had to complete an in-person interview at a field office in order to prove he was still alive to the agency, which meant he had to lose his health insurance and Social Security benefits. He also had to struggle through a bureaucratic maze. That's not any fun, he said. Around the same time, Social Security staff were warning that the agency's powerful ability to declare deaths could be exploited. The Department of Homeland Security in the U.S. DOJ service made its way to the business. Soon, representatives of both groups were hunting for ways to repurpose the agency's databases to identify and deport illegal immigrants. A staff of fewer than a dozen career employees was assigned to work with Musk's team on the project, according to a senior official who left the agency around that time. Career employees were concerned that they might be facilitating something illegal, asking themselves if they were at risk of going to jail for the work they were doing, the official said. By March, DOJ's focus on immigration issues was clear. According to two people with knowledge of the team's activities, DOJ representatives were asking a lot of questions about which kinds of address, wage and tax data they could access, and how that information could be used to determine citizenship status, the people said. One official chose to resign rather than remain involved in what he saw as an illegal attempt to repurpose the agency for immigration enforcement. It was not the first time that Trump officials sought to make Social Security hand over some of the government's most sensitive, personally identifiable information to facilitate deportations. During Trump's first term, a White House aide requested the names and Social Security numbers of employers thought to have hired undocumented immigrants, the former official said. The Social Security General Counsel's office at the time said no. They had determined such a search would be a fishing expedition, the former official said, and would break the law, so the issue was dropped. The former senior Social Security official claims that in recent weeks, Homeland Security's requests have changed. Immigration agents began meeting with DOJ representatives at the agency to discuss how they could achieve their larger goal of pushing out tens of thousands of migrants that ICE was struggling to apprehend and deport, the official said. That request soon morphed into the idea of placing immigrants into the deaths database, the official said. Leland Dudek, the acting commissioner who was elevated from a low-level position after displaying public loyalty to DOJ, had qualms about the task. According to two people with knowledge of his thinking, he thought it was illegal, the people said. Then Homeland Security Secretary Kristi L. Noem intervened, and Dudek agreed to move forward. On Monday, according to four people familiar with the matter, Dudek signed two memorandums with Noem allowing the database action. Dudek declined to comment on the episode. Among the people targeted were immigrants with valid Social Security numbers who had lost legal status, such as those who participated in Biden-era work programs that ended under the new administration, according to a White House official. Within Social Security, the General Counsel's office is preparing an opinion that will find the Trump administration's unprecedented use of the death database a violation of privacy law. According to one person with knowledge of the upcoming declaration, the opinion will take issue with the agency knowingly and falsely declaring that living people are dead, the person said. On Friday, a group of unions and an advocacy organization suing the Social Security Administration argued in a new court filing that the agency had violated a temporary restraining order, blocking DOJ from the agency's systems with personally identifiable information by adding names to the deaths database. Meanwhile, the effort to move immigrants who are alive into the deaths database is proceeding. On Thursday, Social Security added 102 names, records show.